The emotional argument for small wins is that people give up on debt payoff if they don't see progress quickly. The theory is that attacking an $18,000 debt feels overwhelming and you'll quit before finishing. But knocking out a $4,000 debt in 8 months gives you proof that the plan works and keeps you engaged. The problem with this theory is that it assumes you're a child who needs gold stars to stay on task. You're an adult with $63,000 in debt. You're already motivated. You're already scared. You're already committed to getting out. You don't need a participation trophy for paying off the medical debt. You need to stop hemorrhaging money to interest charges. And if you actually do need the emotional boost of small wins to stay motivated, you're not ready to pay off debt. You're ready to keep accumulating it. Because the psychology that requires constant positive reinforcement to stick to a plan is the same psychology that creates debt in the first place. Debt happens when you prioritize how you feel now over what the math says you should do. Paying off debt by prioritizing how you feel over what the math says is just repeating the behavior that created the problem. You're not solving debt, you're managing your emotions while staying in debt longer and paying more for the privilege. The opportunity cost of the extra $9,200 Jennifer paid is permanent and it compounds. $9,200 paid to credit card companies over 8 years is $9,200 that she did not invest. If she had followed the avalanche method and saved that $9,200, then invested it over the next 20 years at 8% annual returns, it would become $43,000. She did not just lose $9,200, she lost the future value of $9,200. She traded $43,000 in retirement wealth for the feeling of closing small accounts. The banks won. Jennifer lost, and she thinks she did the right thing because every debt advice guru told her that small wins keep you motivated, and motivation matters more than math. Motivation does not pay compound interest. Math does. Jennifer is now debt-free after 8 years. She has $0 saved because every extra dollar went to paying off debt instead of building an emergency fund or investing. If she had used the avalanche method and saved the $9,200 plus the 7 extra months of payments, she would be debt-free with $11,000 in savings or investments. Instead, she is debt-free and broke and 1 car repair away from new credit card debt because she has no cushion. The emotional method got her to 0. The mathematical method would have gotten her to positive $11,000. 0 feels better than negative $63,000, so she is celebrating. She is still losing. The real damage is that the small wins method trains you to prioritize feelings over outcomes in financial decisions. Jennifer learned that the way to handle money problems is to do what feels good rather than what works best. She learned that closing accounts is more important than minimizing costs. She learned that motivation matters more than math. Those lessons will destroy her in every future financial decision she makes. The next time she faces a choice between an option that feels good and an option that costs less, she will pick the one that feels good because that is what the debt payoff method taught her. She will buy the car that makes her happy instead of the car that fits her budget. She will take the vacation that she deserves instead of the vacation she can afford. She will finance purchases that give her immediate satisfaction instead of saving up and paying cash. The small wins method is not just costing her $9,200 in extra interest. It is programming her brain to make emotional financial decisions forever. The debt payoff method was training. She learned the wrong lesson. The credit card companies are thrilled. The argument I always hear is that the small wins method works for people who have failed at debt payoff before and need a different approach. If the math-based method did not work because they gave up, maybe the emotion-based method will work because it keeps them engaged. And I understand that logic, but here is what that argument ignores. If someone cannot stick to a debt payoff plan without constant emotional rewards, the problem is not the plan. The problem is impulse control and delayed gratification, and those problems do not go away just because you switch methods. The person who quits the avalanche method after 6 months because they haven't closed an account yet is the same person who will rack up new debt 3 months after finishing the small wins method because they are still making decisions based on feelings rather than math. You are not fixing the underlying issue, you are accommodating it. And accommodating bad financial behavior by designing plans around it just enables more bad financial behavior. The solution is not a different debt payoff method. The solution is learning to tolerate discomfort and make decisions based on outcomes instead of feelings. That is hard. That is uncomfortable. That is also the only thing that actually works long term. What Jennifer should have done is brutal but simple. List every debt by interest rate. Attack the highest rate. Ignore how it feels. Ignore the lack of quick wins. Ignore the accounts that are not closing. Just keep putting money toward the debt that costs the most until it is gone. Then move to the next one. If you need motivation, calculate how much money you're saving by doing it correctly and use that as the motivation.